Welcome to Little Falls School Board meeting, January 3rd, 2022. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to read the mission statement. Little Falls Community Schools promotes personal and academic excellence in a collaborative, safe, and engaging environment. Next, I look for approval of the agenda with one addendum, and that is the election of officers.
So moved.
First,
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So now we'll jump right into the election of officers. Are there any nominations or motions on the floor? For chair. Excuse me, I was gonna pick them.
Give a guy a little power.
I will nominate Sharon for school board chair.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, all in favor of Sharon becoming the new chair, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And with that, I'll turn the meeting over.
Boy, that was quick.
I tried it.
Our next election of officer person is we need to have a nomination for the office of clerk. A nomination, please.
I would nominate Mark.
One.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Any other nominations for the office of clerk besides Mr. Kirby? Hearing none at this time, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, then Mark, you remain as our clerk. Nominations at this time for the office of treasurer.
I nominate Doug Goldberg.
Any other nominations for the office of treasurer? Hearing none, all those in favor of Doug remaining as treasurer signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, gentlemen, for maintaining your office then. Next, we have the establishment of the board member remuneration. The chunk of check that you get every month for this position. Are there any discussions or
I make a motion.
I think of that word.
I make a motion, we keep everything the same as last year.
Okay, a second, please?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a first and a second to remain with the same establishment of the board member remuneration. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then it will stay as it has been. Next is the board member committee and other assignments. I do have one change on that. I spoke, Julie Lemire and I spoke, and we would like to trade. She will become the food service committee liaison, and I will become the Little Falls Community Service Advisory Board liaison. Is there anybody else who would like to make a change of their assignments? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to accept the standing relations committees, the advisory committee and liaison assignments, and the standing committees.
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a first and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Julie, do we have any public comments tonight? No public comments. I now need a motion for the consent agenda. This is the designation of depositories and all of the other things on your list, the official newspaper, the transaction of district business, and the payments to keep us moving forward. Can I have a motion for those for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion needed on the items 1 1 through 7 on the consent agenda.
Do I need to remove myself from this vote since the bank is listed?
I believe we did last year.
Okay, okay, yep,
Okay.
We're still okay with a quorum of 3.
okay, all right, fair enough.
Okay, we have 1 withholding vote. All the rest in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And so the consent agenda will go as printed. Now we will have reports from the board members. Doug?
Nothing to report.
Kelsey?
Not for me either.
And Mark?
Nothing.
Okay, and I will pass to our superintendent's report at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Just a really brief one since we have a meeting next week as well. But I just wanted to expound a little bit on an email that I sent out to you today, and one that I will send out to staff tomorrow, having to do with two main items, which is the Omicron variant and the emergency temporary standard update, which is the OSHA vaccination, mandatory vaccination and testing program that's currently being argued at a number of different locations. First of all, let's start with the COVID vaccination and testing program, the ETS. This first came to light a couple of months ago, and has gone through a number of challenges, as well as changes throughout. A lot of pre-work has been done, and to demonstrate how difficult it is to be on our end, the receiving end of these things. Within about 3 days, we received vastly different messages from the Minnesota School Boards Association and the Minnesota Rural Education Association about the implementation of this ETS. Within about 72 hours, things have, I'm not even sure if they changed, or if people just interpret things differently. Anyway, what this ultimately will result in, if it does come to fruition, bless you, is the necessity, the mandate for us to make sure, since we are over 100 employees, that all of our employees are either vaccinated or are testing on a repetitive basis, and being able to manage that program as we go along. It's a yeoman task, one that I'm not sure any district is really prepared to tackle at this point. One that, just on a sheer surface of close to 400 employees here in the district, the amount of manpower to manage that manpower is going to be interesting as well. Human resources, along with input from the business office and administrative sections of the district, started to work out a plan, but at this point, we've seen nothing in terms of any kind of official documentation about what this will look like. MSBA has promised a policy on it, but not until at least after January 7th, when the information we got from MSBA over the Christmas break was that the case was going to be argued in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. So that's different than what we got from MREA today. So we're really not sure where we stand, other than if this does go through and we need to tackle this, it's going to be an internal disruptive event within our district. There's no doubt about that. That's all I know at this point. Next week at our regular business meeting, I'll have an update for you, because the January 7th U.S. Supreme Court date should have passed by then. The MREA date would be that day of when they said we would have to have something in place, or at least moving towards that, with the February 9th implementation. Promise no punitive issues if the districts are working towards development of a plan. So that's where we're at. I'll share this with staff tomorrow. I wanted to get through our meeting tonight first to alert you to what I intend to send out to staff tomorrow, along with, I just actually 2 minutes ago got the latest report from the Minnesota, from Morrison County Public Health about about the situation update. Basically saying that we are still on a plateau here in Morrison County in terms of cases. The case rate is at 37.4, which is down from the last week. It's honestly at about a September rate. If you look around the country, though, those areas that have been hit with the Omicron are seeing staggering numbers. The reason I bring it up is, quite frankly, when we were having our higher numbers in October and November, and even now, even as we start back to school, staffing is an everyday concern. If we are pounded with Omicron numbers, that's going to have an impact on our staff. It really does bring into question our ability to have a normal in-person school event. And so I don't have a solution at this point, just kind of want to get an awareness out there. I intend to take this out to the public in a video later this week. Again, just saying that, who knows what's happening here, but elsewhere, this is what's going on. Again, if you historically look at this, Morrison County is always on the back end of things that happen in the urban areas first. We get maybe a little complacent with that, thinking that it's not going to get here, but it always seems to. And so the staffing shortage piece is really a concern as we head in towards the last 5 months of the school year, because quite honestly, we're so happy that we've been in school for the 4 months. I'm so happy we've been in school, and we've seen so many good things happen. But every day, depending on the building, it's a challenge to fill slots and to operate normal. Our staff has been fantastic because so many have been pulled in so many different jobs that they're not accustomed to, and it's because they're filling the void. We can only do that for so long before we start to spring so many holes. It's kind of like whack-a-mole, right? And we're kind of at that point where it is. And if we get a number of people, adults that would pick up the COVID through the Omicron variant, it's going to create some problems for us. So our plan this week will be to continue to monitor it, but in the meantime, begin to develop a plan should we have to do something. Again, our hope would be if we do, it would be only a temporary thing until the staffing issue could resolve itself and then come back. But that's a long ways out yet before we get to that point. So those were the two pieces that I really wanted to talk about today. Throughout the course of this week, you along with the staff and eventually the community will hear more from us as we start to lay out the plans of what may be the impact as we go forward here.
Makes every day interesting.
Yes, it does.
Have you guys had any conversations about adding a tracking person that's going, like adding a staff member that's going to track this if it goes through? Because 400 people,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
A lot of documents flying.
Yeah, and again, I think we've had that conversation, but we still don't know what the expectations are. And until we get laid out what the expectations are, and I think even more than the information gathering locally is what is the reporting expectation for us. Gathering is one thing, reporting it is another. We know there's not going to be any kind of uniform system put together that would make it easier for everybody. So, any reporting piece is going to be based off what the school decides. Aaron and Brianne and Neil have been working on a Google Doc kind of to make it work that is shareable. But man, they're creating it on the fly.
Yeah.
And the challenge is really going to be once you gather that information, then we have to figure out what sort of testing we have to track.
Yeah.
And it's hard to even know how robust that's going to have to be because we don't know exactly what that number would be yet. The good news is we do have an additional nurse that we've had in place as a result of the maternity situation.
Yep.
So we can utilize her a little bit.
Because Johanna came back today.
Yeah, I think the testing piece we're going to be able to handle. The initial reporting piece, we just don't know what it's going to look like. And It's hard to even know where to put the information yet,
Yeah.
because we don't know if this is gonna be a 1 year,
Yep.
2 year, or is this gonna be just.
Well, OSHA can only have that temporary standard in for 6 months.
Right.
Yep, and so that,
But then it's gotta be something permanent or something different or what have you.
because that informs a little bit of where we'd wanna put the information, we could put it all into Skyward if we wanted to. But if it's not gonna be permanent, it doesn't feel like the right place to put it yet, so that's what we're trying to wrestle with right now.
What do you think is the percentage of staff that have their vaccination? Do you have any idea?
Well, I don't know, what was it, 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, when we had done clinics here, because we organized the
Yep,
clinic site, I
kinda have
was
an
able
idea.
to have names. Kind of calculating those names versus new staff. You know, I came up with a comfortable number that I would say we're in the mid-60s for sure. And if we're off, it's low. You know, obviously, we have no ability to tell on any new employee, and Lord knows we've had a lot of new
Yeah.
employees
Mhm.
since that time. But we had even heard anecdotally from the nursing staff when they were doing the vaccinations here that, boy, your percentage here is a lot better than any other school we've been to.
Okay.
So I think that I feel comfortable about that, but I know that there's still obviously a fair number of folks who have not gotten that far yet, so.
Okay. The reason I ask is I'm a little bit concerned if we're already short-staffed. You're gonna get these people that don't wanna do the test weekly
Mhm.
because it's cumbersome. So
There-
are we kind of planning a little bit for the backlash? I mean, I know we don't know if this is gonna come out or not, but
There's definitely a concern that if this comes to fruition, that we will lose some employees.
Okay.
But if it's a mandate, there's not a whole lot we can do about it.
you're strapped. So,
And so we will meet with those folks, try to lay out as inobstructive process as possible, to hopefully play to their sensibilities to stay
Yeah.
here and test and
Yeah.
trying to do this. I think the biggest concern with the folks that don't test is the mandate to wear a mask.
Mm.
Cause that's gonna be a part of that, right, Aaron?
Right.
If they choose to do the testing each week, and don't do the shot, according to the way it's written right now, those people have to wear a mask.
so that's gonna be-
That's gonna be the challenge, I believe,
Mm.
for us.
yeah, policing that. for
Yes,
sure.
well, policing it and and
Yeah.
then getting folks to understand that that's part of what they would have to do if they're gonna test.
Those vault tests that the school's already providing, are those all gonna be are we gonna have enough available? I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm
can
not
staff
worried,
use
we just
those?
we got shipment today of another 1,000 tests, that I had ordered. I'm meeting with Johanna tomorrow, to order more tests, to make sure that we have enough. But, yes, at this point,
We can use
the
those.
number of tests is not a concern for us. Again, part of that, and we haven't gotten the answer to that, is for those that are testing, is it the expectation that the organization purchased the test, or are they purchased by the individuals? You know, I don't know if that's the expectation of a school, of a private business. Is that laid out in the OSHA framework? I don't know at this point.
Visiting with some of our union stewards, that likely will become the union side of the issue, is if you put a requirement like that in place, does it be, unions will argue that it's the district's
District's
onus to
responsibility.
provide the test and the time to take the test. So Stephen and Johanna ordering the test early, we're at least gonna be able to say, we're gonna bring it to you.
Yep.
Otherwise, we likely would have had to provide paid time for people to go and get tested on a weekly basis, which we don't have that
Don't
time
afford it.
to do that.
That's all my questions.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anything else, Steve?
No, that's my report. Thank you, Madam
Okay,
Chair.
thank you. Next, we'll move into new business and we'll turn it to Mark for the resolution authorizing the superintendent to do his recommendations and identifications.
Remember, Mark Kirby introduced the following resolution and moved to this adoption. Resolution authorizing the superintendent to identify and recommend the elimination or reduction of and/or modification to district services, staff, positions, programs, offerings, and other areas for the 2022-2023 school year as needed. Is there a second?
1 second.
Have the second. Any questions?
This is the same we've done every year, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
I'll call for the vote. Doug,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
Thank you, Mark. Next, we have on the line additional signature for Pine Country Bank if needed. Is this a necessity that
Yeah, I
we do
think
have to?
you're gonna have to go back on for sure.
Okay,
Yeah, so we'll need to.
so
Change the
Mark and
signature.
myself, or, okay. Okay, so we need to have it's an action item, so I need a motion to approve additional signatures for the Pine Country Bank.
Also move that.
Thank you, Kelsey, and the second, please.
Second,
Thank you, Mark. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed? And our last item tonight is the adjournment. Can I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second,
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
All those opposed can stay here. Thank you
Thank you.
for coming out this evening. At least we had a little bit warmer
Yeah.
travel today.
Yeah, that's it, we're done.
Mhm.